Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
There you go. Good morning. Welcome in to another brand new live edition of Talking Ball 97.7. ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond. When the equipment malfunctions, you just roll with it. She's hanging by a thread, but we're going to make it through. We are 22 days, 4 hours, 59 minutes, and 12 seconds away from the start of week 0 of the college football season. And Drew DeArmond, let's just get this out of the way before we get going.
And other than that, guys, look, you're going to ask me about the quarterbacks every day. Every day I'm going to tell you the same thing. You know, everybody's getting reps at the position. Somebody's got to take the bull by the horns. Somebody's got to separate themselves. When that happens, we'll tell you. Be glad to tell you. When we're going to take the cake out of the oven, we will tell you when it's the time. All right, but until then, there's really nothing to talk about. There's nothing to say. So there's not a whole lot of sense in asking about it because we want all the guys, when they're in there, you play the position like it's yours, like it belongs to you. You're out there competing. You're not looking over your shoulder. You're not worrying about what somebody else does. You're playing like you're the man. And that's what we want each guy to do and see who can do that with the most consistency. So it's important. You know, you got to be process-oriented. You can't be outcome-oriented right now. You got to be process-oriented because that's what's going to help you play with the kind of consistency that you need to play winning football at the position, which is ultimately what we're looking for.
There you go. The Alabama quarterback question.
Yeah, you know, Bandy, he was, of course, just a glimmer in the eye. But he could have just queued up Barn and said, nip it in the bud, because that's what Saban was doing ahead of time yesterday. You know?
Yeah, that wasn't even a question. That was in his opening statement.
That was in the opening diatribe. So he was going to just take the bull by the horns himself and tell you that through one practice, no, there's no separation in the quarterback belt. And, of course, did I get DMs asking about the quarterbacks? Of course.
I'm like,
what are you hearing about the quarterbacks? What happened in practice today?
It was one practice.
It was one practice.
Not in pads.
Yeah,
nothing. Just a helmet.
Exactly. No pads. But, you know,
you weren't going to get.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody thought there was going to be anything with the quarterbacks yesterday, it was
just relax. It's going to take a couple weeks until they scrimmage, and so that's where the rubber's going to meet the road. They're going to work the rest of this week. You know.
Do you think it'll go through all 3 scrimmages before somebody emerges?
Look,
do you think?
By I would say by the after the 19th, there should be some separation. At least it should be a 2-horse race. The 19th is the Red Elephant Club scrimmage, and that'd still be a couple weeks before the first game. And yet, do I still expect at least 2 quarterbacks to play? And in game 1 against Middle Tennessee, yes, it's kind of hard to play 3, but I believe 2 will play, and then they will decide on a starter for the Texas game. So, that's when it'll, and basically, Coach said they were all getting equal reps. The interesting part is how many are the freshmen getting, and I'm talking about the true freshmen like Lonergan and Eli Holstein, because Ty Simpson's a redshirt freshman. Ty's getting his reps. Milrow is, Buckner is. I've heard really good things about Lonergan, and I liked what I saw in the spring, but I still don't see this as a Jalen Hurts situation where he was a dark horse and then came out of nowhere to kind of win the job as a true freshman and was the first true freshman to ever do it out of training camp. And let's not forget, though, he didn't even start that game against USC. Blake Barnett did. And then Blake Barnett looked like a scared rabbit. Jalen came off the bench, made a big throw to for a touchdown, and so and to our Darius Stewart, and then just kind of got rolling, and he used his mobility too, and he was poised. And the biggest thing is, didn't turn it over. So that's, and Alabama had a great defense. that year, and one that scored a lot of points themselves. And so he just, he played winning football, and he won the job. And he didn't do that till, I don't know, middle of the second quarter against USC, because I thought Blake Barnett would get more time. And Blake actually came back in the game and threw a touchdown pass. But if you remember, Scott, by Western Kentucky around game 3, he had transferred. So he and his dad used again. No, this is his first transfer. This is the first of the before that he did it 3 times, but I mean this was the first transfer, and he transferred to a JUCO and basically didn't play, just sat out, and then ended up at Arizona State, and then ended up at South Florida. So, I mean, I thought he was going to stick it out at least for the rest of that season and see if he could get another opportunity, but he did not. And so it was Jalen Hurts' job from there going forward, and they already had a commitment from Tua Tagovailoa, and so the rest is history. So it's just one of those things. But I definitely think by the Texas game, you'll know who the quarterback is going to be. You have to, because Texas is too good a football team. To where if you're playing musical chairs at quarterback. I mean, now, again, if Blake Barnett had played better, at the start of that USC game in Dallas, then very likely he could have been the starter. And the thing that you kind of heard through the grapevine but didn't come to fruition is I think it's because of the way Jalen played and the poise that he played with, is going into that Western Kentucky game, I think there was thought he'd still play 2 guys. Like, okay, he's going to play and almost like 50-50. He's going to give Jalen Hurts a quarter, then he's going to give Blake Barnett, but it didn't happen. They just played Jalen for the majority of the game, and then, Blake and his dad made the move. So we'll see, but I still say unless one of the quarterbacks is struggling mightily or gets injured, that they're gonna find a guy and play him the majority of the ball game, if not the whole game, against Texas, much like they did A.J. McCarron on the road at Penn State, when he beat out Phillip Sims.
256-576-4977. That's the number to the program this morning. We start you off with recapping Alabama's first fall camp scrimmage, or practice, I should say. Both Alabama and Auburn hit the practice fields yesterday for the very first time. Several schools around the SEC also. And we'll drop in on Brian Kelly. We will drop in on Shane Beamer here in just a little bit, but let's go to Mark from Huntsville real fast.
What's up, Mark?
Hey, morning, guys. Hey, I tell you what, one thing that hasn't been talked about on this show, which is the best show, in North Alabama or in Alabama, it's better than the evening show. Sorry, Wes. He's listening. He's probably asleep right now. But anyway, hey, guys, here's the deal. Coach Saban, when he won the national title at LSU, he had a quarterback that was just like the guy from Notre Dame that we have, and he had a guy named like Milrose, and he played them both. I know that no one's talking about that. The thing I love about Coach Saban is that he's going to put the best player out there. And with this new offensive coordinator, I just want to get y'all's take on this. I don't think I'm too far-fetched here. There's no rule that says you must play one and one only, right?
No, there is no rule, but we'll say this, though, that programs have greater success when one guy is the guy, not when they're playing 2.
All right, let me ask you this then. How confident did you feel when Tua would come off the field after being up 30 and a guy named Jalen Hurts walked out there in the third quarter? Did we feel like, my God, this is like, we got the NFL here, right? You remember that feeling, Drew?
Oh, I do, but the thing is, none of these guys have done that. Jalen had almost 2 years, really 2 years under his belt, and that is very, very unusual.
I was going to say, that's rare to have.
Yeah, because usually, to be honest with you, in this era, and I even think if it happened now, that Jalen Hurts would have been gone. I mean, he would have been trying to start 2 years somewhere else. Now, everything worked out for him great. I mean, he played a year as a backup, then he went to Oklahoma and became a starter, and then he got drafted, and now he's a starter for a team that went to the Super Bowl, so he's gotten paid. But, I mean, I'll just say this. It's you couldn't have scripted it better for Jalen Hurts. It might not work out that way for somebody else, but it did for Jalen, and he took advantage of all his opportunities. But you usually don't have a quarterback who loses his job at a high-profile school like that stay. Because, I mean,
Michigan lost one this past year. There was. Remember last year, Michigan was in this weird spot where they started one quarterback.
Justin Fields.
Yeah.
I mean, and he barely played, but now he didn't have a ton of experience either when he transferred, but he didn't stay. I mean, these guys just don't stay. I mean, and I'll be honest, I think everybody was surprised, except the players because Jalen told them, but everybody thought that that Hurts was going to transfer, after the spring.
Right.
I certainly did. I thought, well, he wants to play. Tua's going to be the starter. He can go somewhere. But he also thought to himself, but I will say this, the rules were different back then. If you still had where you could transfer without sitting out, I think he would have done it. But he would have had to transfer in redshirt and sit out a whole year and then missed a year of action.
Because of the way the rules were.
And so he knew he could play behind Tua, graduate, and then when he graduated, he can go wherever he wants. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the rules were just a little bit different, Mark. That's why that happened. Everything lined up for Alabama to work out perfectly where, you could ruin it for Kirby, which was the most beautiful thing I've ever watched in my life, to watch the guy swallow manure again because he lost to Alabama in the last seconds yet again. And Georgia's won one time. They act like they've won 8. I mean, it's an absolute joke. The best tweet I read yesterday from Chris Marler was, Tennessee and Georgia have the same amount of wins in the last 15 years against Alabama. Uno. That's how many they've got.
Well, hey, that's right. Hey, and let me follow up, if you don't mind, kind of going back to the current situation instead of Jalen and Tua. And I'm sorry I don't know the names that well. I know, the guy from Notre Dame. Okay, whatever his name is.
Tyler Buckner, yeah.
He has experience, right? So,
a little bit, yeah. I mean, of all the quarterbacks, at least he started multiple games. Yeah, I mean.
Right. And,
yeah.
And he's got an offensive coordinator.
That he's familiar with, yeah.
That he's familiar with. So I was just wondering, how likely, I guess that's what I'm trying to ask, is what is the probability that Coach Saban could go back to his LSU days with this kind of offensive coordinator, this guy who likes to run in the little short pass game and have a running quarterback and a throwing, and kind of do that back and forth. I mean, tell me, do you think there's room for two? And then the last thing I'm going to bring up, if Alabama does not win the national title this year, it'll be the first time in the history since Saban's been there that he hasn't won one in a 3-year stretch. Yeah. I don't know if y'all knew that.
Yeah, we knew that. Yeah.
Yes, we knew it.
Yeah, and thanks for thanks for the phone call, Mark. Look, I think it's dangerous when you try to use two quarterbacks through a year.
No, it is.
I think it's dangerous because, one, you don't let one get a rhythm, and two, I don't know. I want to go back and look at the percentage or the success rate of two quarterbacks.
I'll tell you enough.
It would scare me if you were
LSU
using two.
won the national championship under Saban in 2003.
Right.
He left after the 2005 season. I can tell you that. After the 2004 season, pardon me. It was the 2005 bowl game I guess it was the Gator Bowl or the Citrus Bowl. I think it was the Citrus Bowl. It was in Florida. I think they played your boys. I think they played Iowa. They beat I think that they either won or lost against Iowa. I can't remember.
What year was that?
I think they won. They had a running back that went crazy, and it was after the 2004 season. Because 2005, I believe, was Les Miles' first year. So Saban left a year after winning the national championship.
The 2005 Capital One Bowl.
Yeah, it was Capital One and Capital One Tampa then, right?
Yep, that was in Tampa.
And it was
LSU won 20, or Iowa won 35.
So Iowa did win.
25.
So Iowa won. Yeah. So that was the Saban's last game. So I knew it was against Iowa. I couldn't remember.
That was the touchdown pass as time expired.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I knew it was Iowa. I just couldn't remember.
Iowa could complete a forward pass.
Yeah, I could not remember if they won or lost. I just remembered it was Iowa, and it was his last game as LSU coach. And so, I guess I was trying. I guess it was the 2002 bowl game that they won, where the running back went crazy. But the thing about it is in 2002, this is all I can tell you. He had injuries at the quarterback position. Plus, he was rotating, and they lost to Alabama in Tiger Stadium, 31-3. Okay, they got beat down. Franchione basically used it to complete his negotiations behind everybody's back like a scumbag to go to Texas A&M. Okay, and become fraud phony and ruin his career, basically from there going forward. So that's what happened. They got smashed. I mean, they had no quarterback. And so by 2003 I believe they had Matt Mock and everything, and everything had worked out. and they ended up winning the national championship, and they had one guy. But to me, if you have two quarterbacks, you're in big trouble. I mean, think about '99 for Alabama. They won the SEC championship with Watts and Zal, but they still,
it's very rare though.
Yeah,
again, it's
they
very
lost to Louisiana
rare.
Tech. I mean, you've got to have one guy.
All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, more college football conversation. We'll hear more from Nick Saban. We'll hear from Brian Kelly. We'll hear from Shane Beamer. We got all kinds of stuff to get through. All that and more next. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Just got a wreck on 231 southbound at Matt Morrill Road. That's an Arab. That one may have been injury. Southbound on the Parkway at Whitesburg Bridge. I think it's actually going to be south of the bridge. That one reported with injuries. It's not an injury type. I think HPD is going to work it for state troopers. 565 westbound at Greenbrier should be pretty well wrapped up. 565 eastbound at Glen Hearn reported, but I don't see any problem through the area. And we should have Madison Boulevard and Flagstone pretty well wrapped up. 2030 Fast Track can make your clothes fall off. Greg lost 92 pounds in 6 months on the plan. A free hormone quiz will tell you if it can work for you. 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
I'm with Ross from Southern Gent Landscaping. Now, Ross, lawn care is a key part of the landscaping business, but Southern Gent does just more than lawn care, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Here at Southern Gent Landscaping, we offer a variety of services to best satisfy our customers' needs, some of which include your typical landscape maintenance, your landscape installation, final grading, hardscaping, irrigation, AstroTurf, pretty much everything outside.
And let the people know where they can reach you.
You can reach us at 256-509-6088, and you can see some of our completed projects at Southern Gent Landscaping on Instagram.
That is Southern Gent Landscaping. Professional landscaping performed with satisfaction guaranteed.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
What if I told you that Bigfoot is real and that he's making the best donuts you've ever had? Come see for yourself at Bigfoot's Little Donuts. Come in and order from over 50 flavors, all made hot and delicious. Ranked in the top 100 donut shops in the nation by Yelp. Bigfoot Little Donuts. Order in store or online at bigfootslittledonuts.com for pickup or delivery from Grub South or DoorDash. South Parkway, Huntsville, and County Line Road, Madison. Bigfoot's Little Donuts.
ESPN, The Zone, Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. And we are counting down to the start of the college football season. It's a busy time. Can't take 2,000 vacations now.
Yeah.
And so that's
Hey,
why,
by the way,
that's why I'm here. Hold on. That's why I got to say this, though, real fast.
Yeah.
I need to say it. She's probably not listening.
Right.
But happy 22nd anniversary to my wife today. 22 years today.
Happy Mark Ingram to Scott and
yeah,
Terry
so
Tyson.
I'm not
Tara.
taking 2,000 vacations.
No, you're not.
I'm not taking a week off to celebrate.
Tara.
Yes, we're going to be 20. We're actually going tonight, by the way, and it's free if anybody wants to come.
Tim Tebow.
We're going to go see Tim Tebow tonight downtown at the VBC. So it's free. Tim Tebow, part of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes Northeast Alabama chapter. They're hosting this. It's going to be a fantastic night. It's free, VBC, Tim Tebow in town. Tim Tebow was actually at Auburn yesterday.
Yeah.
Talked to Hugh Freeze after the Tigers practice. We'll hear from Hugh Freeze a little bit later in the show. Nick Saban yesterday. Okay, my bad. What were you going to say?
I just was asking because you were talking about 2,000 vacations, but I didn't realize Florida State had already left for the SEC.
That's what I was told this morning.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought
Florida
breaking news. He always does that, that Nightline thing or whatever, breaking news, and I was like, holy Toledo!
I woke up last night. I woke up this morning, and I was like, man. We were talking about it yesterday, and they were 2024, 2025, but I guess it happened overnight.
I mean, heck, before I could take a nap the other day in the afternoon, I got a phone call asking if I said that people were taking $100,000 to go on an unofficial visit. I said, nah, I said it was 4 digits. The people were getting paid to visit, but I was like, man, what the deuce? And I was like, Florida State's in the SEC. Holy Toledo.
I know. I was like, man, do I got to come up? We got to come up with something.
Fired up because the Browns won the exhibition game last night in a comeback.
Oh, speaking of that, on Twitter, if you head to our Twitter page, and you can call in this morning, 256-576-4977. The old adage, when do you consider football back? I mean, is it? So we put week 0 of the college football season, because don't forget, there is some week 0 college football games. Vanderbilt will take on Hawaii. North Alabama is taking on Mercer.
And Montgomery,
There's some week 0 college football games. Is it week 0 of the college football season? Is it week 1 of the college football season when Alabama and Auburn and everyone else gets cranked up? Is it that Hall of Fame game thing that we had last night? Or is it week 1 of the NFL season? That is the 4 choices out there of when you would like, or when do you consider college football, or when do you consider football is back?
I would say still week 0 because you got high school football, and then you do have a few college games. The college game is not back fully until the first weekend in September, but you get enough of an appetizer, and they're not exhibition games, so they actually count.
Yeah,
so,
they actually mean
we don't,
something.
We don't have to see a tomato can like Zach Wilson play, one of the most overrated busts in history. At least it's probably going to go down that way.
I don't know, though.
I mean, come on.
That's a hold on.
When you can't beat Coastal Carolina, you ain't going to be a big-time pro, son. I'm sorry.
Nick Saban talked about the running back room yesterday as well. Here's Coach talking about the RB room.
Well, I actually think there's 4 guys in the running back room that has really done a good job. Jace has been a really good leader. Roydell has always, set a really good example. He's a good special teams player as well as a good runner. Loves to play on teams, loves to do whatever he can to help the team. Jace has really stepped up and set a good example. And, the 2 young players, Justin and Jam, have done really, really well too. And, of course, we have a new addition the new freshman, but he's probably a little bit behind the other guys just from a learning curve standpoint. But I like all those guys. I think they all have great attitude, and I think that's one of the strongest positions from a depth standpoint on our team.
There you go, the running back room. We touched on it briefly the other day.
Yeah, we did. I mean, I think it's the deepest position on the team along with outside linebacker, so there's no excuses. There should be excellent production. If there's not, you're fired. That's basically the way it is.
Who are we firing?
Robert Gillespie will do a good job. I'm basically firing Coleman Hudson unless he gets off his ass and starts producing. That's basically what I'm saying. You got to do more than recruit, son. You got to get some guys playing. So, I'm calling out Coleman Hudson. I'm calling out Freddie Roach. You guys got to get rolling. I mean, that's the two most critical positions on the team right now as far as needing better production than a year ago.
You called out Freddie Roach last year for recruiting.
Yeah, and it was pathetic. I mean, I know that they signed the all-time recruiting class, blah, 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 blah. And that, there's some of these, and people were trying to give him credit for this guy and that guy, which he assisted in some of it.
Right.
But the Peter Woods thing was just unforgivable. I'm sorry.
But he's made up for it, though. I mean, he's had to. I mean,
not really.
No?
No. But, I mean, now we'll see. He can make up for it if the D-line plays better. The D-line, he missed Peter Woods last year, and the D-line was not good enough. Wasn't disruptive enough. Didn't get enough pass rush. They gave up 180-plus yards rushing in both losses. They got to get better production. To me, he and Coleman Hutzler are on the clock. They're the two most critical, probably. And then offensively, it's probably Holman Wiggins because the receivers need to be more consistent. Now, Holman Wiggins coached a Heisman Trophy winner and certainly in Devontae Smith. He's been there since 2019, so he had a chance to coach Waddle as well. Those guys, they turned into first-round picks. So he's had, some really good material to work with, and they produced. And don't forget JMO and of course Mechie.
Right,
so he's had them produce before, but last year was kind of a step back. They have enough talent this year. Do they have any first-round picks? No, but I still think they should be very solid. So he's probably a little bit on the clock as well. So if there's some pressure points with the Alabama coaching staff, and of course there's always pressure points on the coordinators. They're both new. They both need to produce. Again, everybody has to do their job. I think Tommy Rees is going to do a good job, but he has to go out there and prove it. Same way with Kevin Steele. Kevin Steele's got pelts on the wall, but so does Rees. So I think both those guys are going to do a solid job, but the guys under them have to do theirs. And I just think there's 2 or 3 coaches on Alabama's staff that need to get better production out of their rooms for Alabama to ultimately gets back to the college football playoff and have a chance to win the SEC. And if you do that, you're in the postseason, you're in the college football playoff, and you're having a chance to win a national championship. So to me, those are 3 coaches that and Coleman has lasted a long time. I mean, think about it. Nick Saban has turnover all the time. Like, he's never brought the same staff back.
Right.
Holman Wiggins is going into year 5. Pete Golding got 5 years in, and now he's at Ole Miss, thank the Lord. But Holman Wiggins is going into year 5 as a wide receivers coach. And he's had interest from NFL teams. He's had interest from Texas. He's had interest to go other places but hasn't. But since he came over from Virginia Tech, he's been there 5 years now. This is year 5. And I think he's done a solid job. But, again, they took a little bit of a step back from a production and consistency standpoint last year, so they need to step up this season. But I think Hutzler and Roach are even under more pressure because Will Anderson wasn't as good last year under Hutzler as he was under Sal Sunseri. Dallas Turner wasn't as good. These guys need to step up this year and play well. There's a ton of depth at outside linebacker. And then when you look at the D-line, they've got to find 6 defensive linemen in that room that can play winning football, and they need to have somebody step up. Fedarian Mathis was a war daddy in 2001. They didn't have one a year ago. Can Jaheim Otis become that? Can Tim Smith? They've got to have somebody step up, Justin Aboigbe, and become a dude.
All right. Pete Golding helping increase the sales of wild turkey in Oxford.
Hey, probably. I heard Tunica's loving it.
Little wild turkey on the rocks.
Whatever.
We got to get a break in. Well, just think, though, I mean, from Oxford to Tunica, you're going to be burning up the gas. It's costly these days. We got to get a
That's a 30 for 30, and Alabama doesn't need to be part of it.
We got to
Him and Lane.
We got to get a break in.
National Girlfriend Day. Whatever.
At least she was hot.
Well, that's not, are you shocked? I'm not.
We got to get a break in.
Jelly fresh water.
Fresh catch. We got to get a break. We got to get a break in. When we come back, more Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly cloudy to overcast sky this afternoon. Temperatures only climbing into the mid and upper 80s given the amount of cloud cover and the likelihood that we get some scattered showers and thunderstorms across the area. Temperatures drop into the low and mid 70s as we head into the overnight, early into your Saturday morning. We're going to get to enjoy some sunshine Saturday afternoon, but scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to once again be in the forecast. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid 90s, dropping into the mid 70s through the overnight. Much the same for your Sunday. We get to enjoy a little bit of sunshine. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid 90s with scattered showers and thunderstorms. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a couple of wrecks that may still be causing problems. One near Arab on 231 southbound at Matt Morrow Road. And we had one in Morgan County just reported. It's in Trinity at Greenway off Seneca. That may actually end up being an old accident. With more than 30 years experience, D&L Refrigeration can save you money on those heating and air conditioning repairs. 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
The best place to get 50s diner-style homemade delectables is Bubby's Diner. Located at 8412 Whitesburg Drive Southeast, try their all-new expanded breakfast menu with homemade waffles, omelets, and shrimp and grits. With 3 generations of experience, Chris Bubby Belcher has the best burgers in town. Don't forget to leave without a homemade pie or a hand-spun milkshake. Give Bubby's a call today at 256-513-8080. Bubby's Diner, home of the donut burger.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Thomas from Talent Heating and Air back in studio with us. And Thomas, those temperatures in the summertime starting to rise once again. You want to make sure you're not left out in the heat. You want some cold AC, give Talent Heating and Air a call.
That's right. If you give us a call, we can generally get out there the same day. So we pride ourselves on the same-day service.
And what's that number?
256-503-4490.
And if those AC units are giving you the blues and you've already called someone else, never fear, give Talent Heating and Air a call because you guys can still come out.
That's right. We do free second opinions on major repairs and quotes. A lot of times we save our customers thousands of dollars and additionally get their units repaired before the other guy could even get started.
And that number for Talent Heating and Air is?
256-503-4490.
And if you can't give Talent Heating and Air a call, you can find them online at
talenthvac.com.
Schedule all your appointment service calls there. Talent Heating and Air. Give them a call or find them online today.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. If you've been injured and need a lawyer right now, do you know who you really get?
I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. You want to talk to your lawyer. My clients talk to me.
And me. I'm attorney Justin Lackey. We're the ones that you talk to.
And we're the ones who handle your personal injury case.
And we'll take care of it.
The Lackey Law Firm. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Since 1998, Scooter's Coffee has delivered high-quality drinks with quick service and a big smile. And the folks at Scooter's Coffee know a great cup of coffee or other drink can bring a smile to just about anyone. Yes, we specialize in great coffee, but Scooters also has smoothies, teas, and delicious food items too. And this week, Scooters is our zone deal. Right now, get $50 worth of Scooters in Huntsville for just $25 online at 977ESPN.com.
New coordinators.
That's as good as money, sir.
New quarterback.
It's my quarterback.
Same coach.
All right, and you all may be taking the week off, all right, this week, but I'm not.
We are your home of the Alabama Crimson Tide. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. What movies were those? There we go.
There you go.
Hour 1,
There you go.
They were good. Those were
There you
fantastic.
go, Bandy. You bailed us out.
That was his era, though. I mean, he should remember those.
Oh. Yeah, those are actually probably early 2000s, I think.
Right. Yeah. Although Bailey did go back in time. We'll talk about that later. But anyway.
That's another song.
We do got to touch on conference realignment because a lot happened overnight a little bit. But South Carolina's Shane Beamer yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard this. This is what Shane Beamer had to say in his fall camp preview press conference, first press conference before fall camp.
Couldn't be more excited about where we are as we stand here in early August, knowing that we have a lot of work to do. Couldn't be more excited about where we are as a program from a recruiting standpoint with what's still to come. Couldn't be more excited about the conference that we're in. And I don't take for granted being in the SEC. I mean, every time I look on the phone, there's a school at another conference that's begging to get out of the conference that they're in. And people making comments about they're leaving. They're just trying to figure out how and when. It's mind-boggling to me, but thank God that we're in a conference that is more solid than any conference in the country, in my opinion. A conference that other schools are trying to get into actively, whether it's privately or publicly, and don't take that for granted at all. Thankful for the leadership we have by Greg Sankey and being a part of the greatest conference in America. And we talk about it in recruiting all the time, the benefits of being in this league, and it's evident with what you see going on in the news this week with different schools and the instability in different conferences as well. So
there you
I like Shane Beamer. That's why I like him. We won't have Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker like we might in Oxford.
He basically called out Florida State without saying Florida State. Of course, they're in the
I thought
SEC.
they were already in the conference.
They are. According to some, they're already in the conference. But
we kid because we care.
That's right. We love you. We really do.
We do.
But anyway, he's interesting, though. Shane Beamer made some comments there. Although I'm sure Kentucky will never say they like Greg Sankey.
Oh, good Lord.
They hate.
Brought to you by Marlboro Cigarettes.
Yeah, they hate him. But anyway, the news is that Arizona, all that is left
they gone.
is
it's
a stamp. It's just a stamp
who's
for
going
the border
with
regions.
Them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so they're
like
going.
Cannonball Run. Who's making the run?
Oh, gosh. Dom DeLuise.
Dun, da, da, da.
Gosh.
Yes.
Oh.
Vandy, you have no idea what we're talking about, but
no,
that's okay.
Cannonball Run.
But he did wear a mask with a cape.
He did. Well, Arizona is wearing a mask and a cape because they are jetting the Pac-12.
I've seen Cannonball Run one.
Right.
Yeah.
Never
right.
seen the second one.
Right.
To Shane Beamer's point, Arizona was one of those schools that, they wanted out. Now apparently Utah has changed their heart, and they want out as well. The Big Ten is looking now. Does the Big Ten need to expand? I mean, if you are the Big Ten, do you need to, or is this just a knee-jerk reaction to the Big 12 trying to get some out?
It's pouncing and being opportunistic, which the Pac-12 has never been.
Okay.
That's what this is.
Right.
And that's why they're thinking about Oregon and Washington next, as far as the Big Ten goes. And maybe the Fruits and Nuts, Cal and Stanford. It's so crazy that now their name's coming up after, it's so interesting because I talked to Aaron Torres on the Recruiting Blitz this week, and he brought up a great point. He's right there on the West Coast. He spends a lot of time in Vegas. He hosts Fox Sports Radio from that region of the country, so he's very, very familiar with the landscape. And he was telling me that with Stanford and Cal, in many ways, they may not really give a lot of substance to it as far as it's not going to be near the top of the list because athletically, as he told me, Stanford, with their alumni base and their riches, they could make a phone call or two and probably have the best NIL program, but it's not what they're about. They're not. It's almost like they're not trying to win in football at the highest of levels. So I don't know. And then Cal, look, Scott, we already know they dropped baseball for a while. They brought it back. They've had funding issues and everything like that. So who knows? But I will say this: if you see your brethren leaving, and I'm talking about. You've already seen USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon. Right. I would not be shocked if the Big Ten pounced and then they say, "Hey, you want to come too?"
Well, the Big Ten,
Stanford and Cal, comes on down.
The Big Ten presidents and chancellors last night gave the Big Ten commissioner the go-ahead to explore adding Oregon and Washington. Now, the Big Ten said. The financial aspects are already done. They've already done the studies. They've already done everything, basically vetting Oregon and Washington. The only thing left to do is, I guess, officially invite them to join the conference.
It makes a lot more sense than Clemson and Florida State, only because you've already made the plunge and you brought USC and UCLA. Now at least you can justify the travel cost by giving them a wing. And giving yourself a West Coast wing like some bad sitcom, okay?
So you could schedule USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. You could schedule them, keep them on the West Coast.
And then in your other sports, you can go on these West Coast swings.
You can play 3 or 4 schools, 2 or 3 schools.
Because the travel's going to be an SOB. But the only thing about
like Rutgers. I mean, if you're Rutgers, you're not going out to UCLA for one game, then coming back.
Like
and then
I
3
said
weeks
before,
later
though,
going out.
the 2 sports where you got to take the nerve medication, where they got to be thinking, it is baseball and softball, because the Pac-12 and softball for years dominated, and then the Pac-12 and baseball has been really solid. Now all of a sudden in recruiting. We're gonna go to Rutgers. It's gonna be 32 degrees. You got to sell kids on wanting to go there.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Now, could you dominate the conference? Hell yeah, you could. Because all these other people are thawing out. But I'm just saying, it's a little bit different.
Just think about this. There's individuals that are in an age range right now that have no idea, and I'm talking about young ones, that when they grow up. They're going to think of the Big 12 conference, the SEC conference, as it is right now. They're going to look at it and think Texas A&M. They're going to think South Carolina. They're going to think Arkansas has always been in the SEC. They're going to think that Penn State has always been in the Big 10. Penn State, I don't have to forget how many years ago, but Penn State was an independent.
They were an independent when I was growing up, Scott.
Yeah.
So was Pitt.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It was before my time. Hell, the SEC used to have Tulane and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech ruined themselves by leaving the SEC. Ruined it! Yeah. I mean, I know they're in the ACC now, but do you think they want to be? No. They'd much rather be in the SEC, I bet you. But they're not. And I don't think they ever will be. Because the way thing's changing. Was it Bob Dylan times they are changing? Is that what it was?
Is that what that one is? I'm gonna have to.
I think I'm getting that right.
I'm gonna have.
Now you have to strain to understand what he's saying.
Well, Sewanee, there we go. Sewanee was.
Yeah,
Sewanee was an original member of the Southwestern Conference.
There you go, Sewanee.
They left the SEC in 1940, but still,
they
were part of the SEC.
Let me give him our credit. We've been poking at him because he said Florida State was in the SEC. He did give us a very nice. No, but I'm just saying he gave us a very nice history of the Pac-12 and what how it was for 50 years was something different, and then it transformed, and then the Big 8 and the Big 12, and now and before that it was the Southwest Conference. So things change, okay? And that's what's happening because TV money is driving the bus.
That's all it is. It's got to
drive the bus because the morons on this television over here are driving it into the ditch.
Well, if they got to drive the bus, it's not going to be cheap. There's not going to be a lot of people driving the bus.
Hell no, guys. Good luck today. $3.49. Way to go, Joe Blow.
Hey, by the way, University of Idaho and Montana were once part of the Pac-12.
There you go. See? Idaho State and Montana.
Oh, not the Pac-12. They called it the PCC.
Well, there you go. What did we say? Washington State's what? Right next to Montana? We gave everybody the geography lesson when you were doing that this week?
Pullman, yeah.
Yeah, Pullman. It's right near Montana.
It is next to Montana.
Yeah, it is.
Not where I thought it was.
Hell no. I mean, I'm just telling you, it's out there, son.
I would have failed.
Mountain West Conference, here we come.
If this was a geography class and the teacher comes up and says, put a pin where Pullman, Washington is, and they give me the Washington, I would have flunked it.
I would have.
I would not have gotten that one right. But now I will.
Think about this. The late, great Mike Leach won 10 games there. And Mike Price did too. But, I mean,
before he got it rolling.
Oh, well, I'm not talking about that. That's just a bad memory.
Look, I covered his one and only spring game.
Oh, I know. Wow.
I was shooting his one and only spring game.
Were you at the press conference where he came in throwing the sugar packets?
I can't remember.
I know he did that. That was one of the first ones. Good Lord. I know the spring game was I didn't go to that when I heard it was an atrocity. Though.
I was there at the spring game, yeah.
They had defensive linemen throwing passes and all this kind of stupid stuff. I mean, you know. Woo.
Oh, boy. Anyway, 7:45. We got to get a break in.
Hey, by the way, we have listeners that are really being helpful here. They said, don't forget the priests in Cannonball Run. It's the Rat Pack.
All right, we got to do it. Yesterday we gave you a highlight of the coach. I got to dip into the archives and get you some Cannonball Run. All right, we got to get a break in. More Talking Ball when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a wreck on the Parkway south of Redstone Road. That one's coming in as a no injury. On Green Mountain south of Joel, we had injuries reported. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Philip Love of not only Eagle Insulation, now he represents Eagle Companies. Eagle through the years have added several companies to help individuals or builders through their construction renovation process. Eagle is known to represent quality, efficiency, and professionalism. Philip, I know you do insulation, but do you do masonry?
We do.
Do you do grading, erosion control, and dirt hauled off?
We do.
Do you do after paint, which includes shower doors, mirrors, shelving blinds, and bath hardware?
Yes, we do, Wes.
Do you do landscaping and irrigation?
Yes, we do.
So basically, Eagle can help you all along your process of building your house or doing renovations. So do you do plumbing?
We do not, Wes, but we can find somebody to do it.
Just give them time. They'll be there. Anyway, call Eagle Insulation at
256-755-1556.
Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Call Eagle today.
Thanks, Wes.
Here's Bobby White from Woody Anderson Ford on their service department.
President's Award winner 2 years in a row. That's only given to the top 10% of Ford dealers in customer satisfaction. So we're very proud of the service department. And our body shop. If you happen to get into an accident, which not a lot of people just want to go down and see a body shop, but if you get into an accident, award-winning body shop. We have the state-of-the-art paint booths back there. They're waterborne paints that we use, friendly for the environment. We've got our production system, the way things are in and out. We have the fastest cycle rate in town of getting your vehicle in, getting your vehicle out, and assured that it's fixed right. We take pictures before it's wrecked, and not only after, but we take it as we're putting the parts on. All done to above industry standards. So I'm proud of our body shop too. Don't forget our parts department. So if you happen to need parts, performance parts, or just parts if you're a weekend mechanic.
Woody Anderson Ford, located at the corner of Jordan and Sparkman, as well as Hughes Road and Madison. You can also check out the great deals at WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Sports Talk 24/7, 365. Your full-time sports station.
You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work.
Is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Doesn't anyone do any work around this joint anymore?
Oh, welcome back.
Nothing like the time machine. We may have to have a sponsored segment where we start calling it the time machine.
Here, this is
everybody. He even said it. I want to thank you for stopping, son, because we always stop the ambulance, so we can bless who's ever in there. And you paramedics are doing such a wonderful job.
Yeah, well, we're in kind of a hurry, so if you could just bless it and then we can.
I know that part there was clean.
Yeah.
The other parts were not. But we were going over Cannonball Run, and I had to pull it up. I was going over it. So Burt Reynolds, you had Roger Moore, Farrah Fawcett.
Forgot about Roger Moore being in it.
Dom DeLuise, Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, Terry Bradshaw, Jackie Chan.
Oh,
was
yeah.
in Cannonball Run.
He was the Mutt and Jeff guy. He was with the big dude, right?
Jamie Farr from his MASH days.
Yeah.
He was in there. Burt Convey, Peter
Burt
Fonda.
Convey. Wow.
Mel Tillis was in it. Just going down the list. There were so many big names in Cannonball Run. I was like, wow. I'm going to have to go home and pull it up for the weekend.
Mel. Gotta love Mel. We're closed.
Man. Man. 256-576-4977. Feel free
and then,
to
of
join
course,
in.
I mentioned Catherine Bach was in Cannonball Run. Then find out that back in before she, I guess I can't remember the exact year that Dukes of Hazzard started. I was in the early 80s, I thought. But she was actually married in her younger life to Angela Lansbury's stepson. So you learn something new every day. Murder, She Wrote.
All right, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the phone lines. You can get in on the conversation. So far in hour number one, we recapped a little bit of Alabama's first spring or fall camp practice. So wanted to say spring, but this one actually means something. We heard from Shane Beamer. How about hearing from Brian Kelly on the offensive line room for the LSU Tigers? What a difference a year makes.
Anytime, you get a situation where you have four guys that have started SEC games compared to last year where you were like, I have no idea. You come into it feeling a lot better. I think Brad's built a great relationship with the guys that they understand what they're doing, how they're doing, and when they need to do it, which is really important. Offensive line is adjusting on the fly, and their ability to do that now is really the difference in being a successful offensive line. everything happens after the snap, and these guys now have adjusted to the point where they can handle things on the fly. I think, it'll be an interesting deal, right? I mean, we're going to have to see some of these young guys. We're not going to throw them in there with the first group right away, but it'll be similar to the evolution of our freshmen last year, where we gradually brought them along and then they took over some positions. You may see that happen again in camp. We're going to give them a little time. I don't really like to set a depth chart the first 6 practices. I like to let the guys kind of go out there that we're starting, and then let's see how this competition takes care of itself. But I think there could be potential battles on that offensive line.
Brian Kelly talking LSU offensive line.
Yeah, and he was talking. I think he also mentioned John Emery yesterday. John Emery's finishing up an internship. He's finally going to be back with the team. He's had all the academic problems and everything like that, but he's going to be back. Former 5-star guy who's missed almost half of his career with either injuries or academic issues. So he could have a big senior season as well. So LSU definitely going to be on the short list of contenders in the Southeastern Conference, no doubt about it.
All right, 256-576-4977. That is how you can be a part of the show. We're about done with hour number 1. And coming up in hour number 2,
Mr. Norsworthy.
Yeah, I wonder what he feels, Brett Norsworthy, about all this college football realignment, because, he's a historian of the game, so obviously you're going to have to write a whole encyclopedia about what we're going through right now, because it's going to change so much. And I'm wondering, after one practice, how the Ole Miss Rebels are doing, or is it 2 for Ole Miss? I can't remember. 1 or 2.
Nobody's
I
even scrimmaged yet. Everybody getting all
come
whomped up about
Come on.
2 practices.
Position battles have been won after 2 practices, according to a few people.
Lord, man.
out there.
Because Alabama doesn't even allow, a viewing period. Like, Auburn's having a viewing period.
No, we put pictures of Alabama. We put still pictures up there of Alabama's practice yesterday on our Facebook page.
They send you the pictures and they send you some video.
That's what we got. Well, we got video on our YouTube page.
Yeah.
You can go to our YouTube page, WZZN TV, and you can dissect Alabama's practice.
Well,
in helmets only.
Nathan King and Jason Caldwell of Auburn Undercover, part of 24/7, they're actually getting to watch a small period of practice. They may, I guess, 15 to 30 minutes of it, and they can make a few observations, but they and take photos of their own. But yeah, Alabama, there's no access. So, but there will be Saturday. Hopefully, the rain go away, come again another day. But it's. They're going to have an open practice and the fan day on Saturday.
Look at you. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream.
Da-da-da-da.
Oh, man.
JJ.
I have got to find Cannonball Run either on one of these streaming networks.
Come on.
I just got
go to the friggin'
call the Pac-12.
Go to the Best Buy and you can friggin' buy it probably for $5.
On what? A DVD?
Yeah.
I don't even have a DVD player
your
plugged
DVD
in.
player?
It's in a box somewhere.
Oh, okay. I thought you might still have. I know you don't have a VCR. I'm one of the only people that has one of those. That's
but
functional.
I don't actively have my DVD
Kirby
player.
Too. Oh. Uh-oh.
There we go. There we go. There's some homework. Cannonball Run. All right, Brett Norsworthy's seen it. He's probably lived it. Driving to all the SEC schools.
Yeah.
He'll join us coming up next. Kickoff hour number 2.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Check out VSiN's catalog of original podcasts, daily and weekly programming to keep you in the know when you're on the go. Only at VSIN.com. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
NFL last night, the Browns opened up the preseason with the 21-16 win over the Jets in the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. Cleveland was a 2-point underdog. They paid plus 120. The over was 37. Super Bowl futures, the Jets plus 1,600, the Browns plus 3,500. Kansas City remains the favorite at plus 600. The Eagles plus 800, the Bills plus 900. The longest odds on the Texans and Cardinals plus 20,000. The Colts and Bucks plus 15,000. Patrick Mahomes is the favorite to win the NFL MVP award at plus 700. Joe Burrow plus 750. Josh Allen plus 800.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Oh, let's kick off hour number 2 of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And there has been a lot of college football conversation, rightfully so, because pretty much everybody across the country, I assume now, being that today is Friday, that every college football program, at least within the SEC, has gotten underway. I would assume all 14, or is it 15 schools in the SEC? By some, it's 15.
14.
It is 14. All 14 schools within the SEC have already started practice, and everyone has that depth chart finalized. The quarterback battles are done.
It'll
the
be
offensive
16
line
next year.
positions. It'd be 16? Okay.
Yeah.
You sure it's not 17?
No, it's
okay.
not.
It's anyway. But there's a lot going on within the conference. I mean, everybody has started practice. This is an exciting time. It really is, because you know the start is around the corner. Those first week 0, week 1 games, they're going to happen this month. We know it's going to happen. It's around the corner.
It really is. And one of our favorite people, we saw him in Nashville, Tennessee. He was busy, man. He had a headset on at least half the time, doing mornings, doing afternoons, even early evening. One of the best there is in the business, one of my favorite people. He's a co-host of Sports Time with Bryant Dacus from 3 to 6 each Monday through Friday on Sports 56 WHBQ, and that's Brett Norsworth. He also does pre and post for the Ole Miss Radio Network, and the Rebels, of course, are underway with fall camp, and Brett's been good enough to join us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline this morning. Brett, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's always an honor and a treat.
Oh, it really is. We've kind of been going back in the time machine today.
Yeah.
We've been having a little fun. We've been talking about Cannonball Run and some other things, and certainly we've been. But we're all ready for football. I know you always take in SEC Media Days. We always enjoy catching up. But what were your immediate takeaways after a couple weeks ago in Nashville, and now that Ole Miss is underway and preparing for this big season for Lane Kiffin?
Well, just how much, since we left Nashville, how much the college football world has changed. I got to give them credit. I thought this summer, and I predicted it, that it would be a 9.5 on the Richter scale. And I'm not to 9.5 yet, but I'm getting there. If the Big Ten has any movement, or the ACC, it's a 9.5. If the SEC moves, it's a 15.5. But I got to give them credit. They kind of mothballed everything, put everybody on ice, gave everybody head fakes on conference realignment, and they waded through all the media days. And July 1st was a big day, too, legally for a lot of them.
Right.
They waded through all the media days. There wasn't 2 questions about college football realignment at SEC Media Days. And wasn't many at other places. Big 12 had a little because they were bringing in new teams. And the Pac-12, if you blinked, you missed their media day, and if you blinked twice, you almost made the league disappear. But they got through all the media days without any questions for it, and then here comes the torrent of information. And I think today and this weekend we'll have a lot more, including Big Ten moves. So I applaud them for kind of keeping that. Just overall, I thought Nashville just did an outstanding job of hosting this year in Dallas, and then we'll be back in Atlanta in 2025 at the College Football Hall of Fame. But Nashville has to be firmly in place to regularly host if they want to. They just did a terrific job.
Mm-hmm. So, Brett, we know the Pac-12 and the Big 12 and the Big 10, they are at the forefront of all of this discussion. The ACC, certain schools within the ACC, Florida State, we know for sure, been vocal about where they stand. Greg Sankey, all he says is, we're fine. We're fine. We don't need to do anything. They don't need to do anything, but ultimately, do you feel that the SEC will ultimately do something, or are they just going to be happy with the 16 and they just stand on the sidelines and just let this explode?
At some point, Scott, I think the SEC will do something. I just don't know what that point will be, because this is always a work in progress. It's evolutionary. There's no start date for conference realignment, and there's never a finish date. And now the Pac-12 is getting ready to join the Southwest Conference as prominent leagues. And the idea of the league of Wooden and Walton and USC football and Rose Bowls and even the Oregon success of late, that it's getting ready to go away is really remarkable. But the SEC will make a move at some point, but I just don't know that it's anytime soon, and I don't know that it's necessary. Now, of course, if Notre Dame came calling and begging, they would have to listen. And I'm not opposed to some of the moves that are speculated out there. The idea of North Carolina and Virginia, I think that makes a lot of sense, that state universities, the most prominent universities in those two states, is part of the footprint that is definitely growing. There's no doubt about that. But we're not the little old bitty SEC anymore of 10 teams. Down here in our part of the country, which I didn't mind that. I didn't mind being that. But then when we went to 12, we went to 14, we've gone to 16. I love that. I think it's the most exciting time in the history of college football. Some of the doomsayers and fatalists, I just will not. I will not join in on that. College football is very healthy. This is a consolidation that really is needed heading into the playoff years. Now, those first few playoff years, when we go to 12 teams next year, that they've got slots for conference champions. I think that will go away. At some point, I want to see a 16-team bracket with nothing but at-larges. I don't want the Big Sky Conference getting a bid and a good SEC or good Big Ten or good ACC team left out. At some point, I want the best 12 or the best 16, and if that is 10 from the Big Ten and 2 from the SEC, then so be it. But we know that that's not going to be the case.
And we're talking to Brett Norsworthy, Memphis, Tennessee, Sports Radio WHBQ. What do you I know we've talked privately, and you've always said that Notre Dame would be a big fish that the SEC would want. They've continued to try to be independent, thinking they can get big paydays from the networks. Do you think at some point in time, though, with this changing landscape, that they're going to have to make a decision, whether it's Big Ten or SEC, and what they want to do long term?
It feels like it's that way, Drew, but it's felt that way for the last 40 years, and they've never had to move. Now, one thing now is their main TV partner, NBC, it's in bed with the Big Ten, and what the Big Ten, what they're rolling out and what they've done all summer with their rollout and their promotion is really been sharp, and that they've almost scheduled it NFL type schedule with their TV partners, and their TV partners, they're the gold standards. We're not talking the CW here. Mm-hmm. We're not talking any streaming, and you got to get out and adjust the antenna a little bit. I mean, it's the big boys, the broadcast partners, and the SEC they're with ESPN, but this is the most damaged ESPN that we've ever known in a time that it should really be flourishing. There's a lot of reasons why. Disney and their falling stock is one of them, but also the rest of their program. I don't want the SEC to be all ESPN, and we're about the fifth hit on Michael Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser's playlist behind what LeBron had for lunch today, who's really the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, and let's go back to what LeBron had for dinner.
Amen to that.
What Lane Kiffin have for dinner? No, I was just kidding. Anyway, Ole Miss though, there's a lot of talk. I mean, I know we could talk forever on conference realignment because it's polarizing right now because it is at the forefront and it's changing the college football landscape. But we still have a season to play, and I assume Ole Miss is kicking off or has kicked off fall camp?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've started, and I hadn't been to practice yet because really not a lot happening. But it's like everybody. Everybody's optimistic. Everybody feels good this time of year, and that's a fun feeling. Now, very different than last year for Ole Miss. And I talked all summer last year about the easy schedule, and it's not that case this year. After Mercer, it's not easy anymore. Got to go to Tulane week 2, Cotton Bowl champs. Week 3, Georgia Tech. They have to be better than they were last year, and I think they will be. And then for Ole Miss after that, it's at Alabama, home against LSU, home against Arkansas, and at Auburn. Ole Miss will really know what kind of year it's going to have, by third Saturday in October.
Yeah, they really will. And then what were your thoughts on Lane? Lane was very outspoken about NIL needing to be fixed. And I think that's the other big story. Realignment has taken kind of the bull by the horn since we left Nashville, but Lane was by far the most outspoken about how the system needs to be fixed.
Well, and he's also, and he has to preface it, and he could not be more clear that he's for the player empowerment.
Right.
He wants them to make money. I think that gets lost, and it wants to get lost by some because of who is saying it. But he just wants some guardrails for some roster management. I know the first thing is, well, he can leave anytime he wants to. Look how he did Tennessee. He's not leaving Tennessee 2 weeks before the season start. He left at the end of the year. I think people ought to be able to associate the difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he certainly did.
As much as Lane Kiffin is talking about guardrails and everything with NIL and things need to be changed, I do applaud him, though, for coming out and saying, hey, look, I'm saying we need to have change, we need to do this, but we are one of the ones right now that's taking full advantage of the rules that are in place currently to try to make our roster better.
Better believe it. I mean, there's no need in tying both hands behind your back. I mean, it's already limited and tough enough at Ole Miss that if you're not out there swinging, you would have no prayer. Would absolutely get your head torn off if you didn't play by it, and he's doing it. He's thriving at it. And one of the big additions to this year's team, last year I know, and I did too, everybody was just so enamored with Michael Trigg, who had trouble staying on the field and was on the field. A really good receiver, really good after the catch, will not block at all. The addition of Caden Prieskorn from the University of Memphis gives Ole Miss a loaded tight end position, and he really hadn't had that consistently in his Ole Miss years. Kenny Yeboah was pretty good early in the COVID year and then tailed off at the end of the year. He just really hadn't had that consistent tight end play. If you get Jackson Dart, that safety valve, that pressure relief guy in a tight end, and then you have a pretty good inline blocker like Caden Prieskorn can be, and then Trigg come in for packages and show what he can do moving it, well, that loosens up the field for Quinshon Judkins. But another freshman this year, like Judkins emerged last year, remember this name, Kedrick Riscano from the Houston, Texas area. I'm not predicting a breakout year like Judkins had last year, but by committee, he'll get his toes.
Well, that's interesting, and I'll be the first to admit I fell for the Michael Trigg situation. I thought he would be dynamic. I've seen Lane use tight ends like that, but instead he was kind of like Jaleel Billingsley. Jaleel would never become a complete player. Yeah, and so
perfect comparison.
Yeah, that's basically what Trigg has done. But Lane is, has certainly pivoted. He's good at that. There's no question. He doesn't get enough credit, I guess, to me for being able to be willing to change, being willing to make dramatic coaching staff additions, also roster additions, and going back to the drawing board. But I do know this. I still think he may have the best player in the league in Quinshawn Judkins. Now it's just the quarterback position. Is Jackson Dart going to take that next step? Going to be very interesting. And you bring it up, Brett. I mean, their schedule last year it was Arkansas that was brutal. This year Ole Miss's is probably the toughest in the league.
Yeah, it's tough. That's the life. That's the life we chose. That's what we want. And look after Mercer the rest of the year. It's all for keeps. You get Vanderbilt in late October, and I think they will be better. And no, I was not one of the people that voted for Vanderbilt.
Oh
man!
Goodness. Oh Lord, there's no way. Well, let me ask you though. That's a perfect segue. Who did you vote for? When Scott and I were talking to a lot of people down there, there was a lot of people picking LSU over Alabama. Matter of fact, I thought LSU might win the vote. They did not. Alabama won a close one, but and then of course everybody. I picked Georgia. I will say I did pick Alabama to win the SEC championship. It was tough. I almost picked Georgia, but I picked Alabama by a shade. What was your thoughts on the divisions last year, divisional play, and your pick for the SEC?
32nd and final year of divisional play. Hard to believe when Arkansas and South Carolina came in. It ushered in divisions. They go out after this year. And in the last year, as long as Nick Saban is head coach at Alabama, I'm voting Alabama to win the West. Next year, if Nick Saban is head coach at Alabama, at minimum, I'll vote them 2. They'll either be 1 or 2 when we go to just the rank of 16. And in the East, I voted Tennessee to win the East.
So
I think they will pull the late season upset at home at Neyland against Georgia. That means that in the last year of divisional play, we will finally get on the first Saturday of December, the famed third Saturday in October matchup between Alabama and Tennessee. I got Bama beating Tennessee at Bryant-Denny regular season, but Tennessee winning the rematch and winning the SEC championship in December.
Is there a storyline, or do you have a feeling, or could just throw out one big surprise? If this would happen in the league, it would catch you by surprise this year, whether it be a record-wise for somebody, a collapse for a team. But do you have a feeling that there's a big surprise going positive or negative in the league this year?
I think potentially it could be the year KJ Jefferson has. I don't think any team win total rides more on one player than Arkansas with KJ Jefferson. If he has the big year, they could thread the needle like Ole Miss did in 2021 with Matt Corral and squeeze out double-digit win season. They maybe more 9-3, but potentially 10-2. If he just has a good year, it's in that 7-5, 8-4 range. And if it's a very average year, it'll be an average season, and they'll go to an average bowl. I love people, and in Alabama, Georgia, LSU's really not in this group, but kind of the next group: Ole Miss, Arkansas, South Carolina, Mississippi State. That come bowl time, when you're 7-5, the fan reaction is always, "We're going to this bowl." Well, what bowl do you expect to go to at 7-5? The Rose Bowl?
Well, I will say this: I did pick Arkansas last in the West, but as I said, 3 through 7 could end in any way. I think that the division's very tight. I'm just finally going to show some faith in Jimbo, and they got too much talent, and I had them finishing third.
Second, Drew.
Oh, so you got them behind Alabama, ahead of LSU. Yeah, they did beat LSU last year.
I got Bama 1, A&M 2, LSU 3, Ole Miss 4. In the West, and I took the bait again on A&M, and I'm kind of taking it with Texas in the Big 12. I can't believe myself, but you know you didn't have much of a year at Texas is when their biggest game of the year was, well, we should have beat Alabama.
Yeah, there you go. Well,
should have.
But I know what we should have done is had Brett Norsworthy on, and we did. Great stuff, sir. We always enjoy catching up with you. tune in, WHBQ, from 3 to 6. They do a great job. I've been a part of that show on many occasions. It's always an honor to talk to those folks in Memphis, and Brett is an institution there. Thank you, sir, and have a great show, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you all. Be safe and enjoy this great ball.
Thanks, Brett. Brett Norsworthy with us. You know, he threw out the two words, Rose Bowl. What happens to the Rose Bowl in all of this?
I have no idea. Somebody was bringing that up because
the Pac-12 disseminates. Or
yeah, like you don't have your Pac-12 anymore. So I don't know, like who's your tie-ins. Like they don't want to move the parade. They don't want to move what time the game is.
But they may have nobody left to play it.
Hey, you remember that Bugs Bunny cartoon where he was like the conductor and he thought there was a big crowd there, and then by the end there was nothing but crickets? That may be what there is in the Rose Bowl. It may be a bunch of crickets. You know what I'm saying?
Something. All right, we got to get a break in when we come back.
He was trying to kill the fly. Remember, he was trying to kill the fly?
Oh, let's get a college football conversation. Phone lines are open to you as well, 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got a wreck at Old Monrovia and Wayne Road. It's coming in as a no injury. University and Pulaski Pikes being moved to a parking lot. Shields and Jordan may have some blockage. South Parkway south of Redstone, actually at the Walmart. That one reported with an injury. Green Mountain and Joel Drive, south of Joel Drive, also reported with an injury. Old 31 and Hand Drive or Hand Road in Morgan County. Got a tree on a power line there with a possible fire generated from that. Expert Heart Care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the Heart Doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, people call the award-winning burgers totally insane, which is a compliment because Bad Daddy's Burgers are just that, chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness built with premium Angus beef. They're bold and they're bad. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, 2317 Memorial Parkway. Check out our menu and even order online at BadDaddy'sBurgerBar.com.
Welcome back. Stan McDonald from the Stanton Law Firm. I had lunch with Lewis just recently and with a client of ours, a mutual client, and great to hear all the good things going on at the Stanton Law Firm.
Thank you, Wes. The Stanton Law Firm, as you know, we've discussed before, we're dirt lawyers. We do a lot of real estate, litigation and closing. And yes, my son Lewis McDonald enjoyed meeting you a couple of weeks ago, and a couple of your friends. He is, as you know, he's opened up a commercial closing division. So he's really helping a lot of people people who are trying to close, buy, or sell on their commercial property. And you can't be in this community doing business without knowing Wes Neighbors.
I don't know about that, but it sure was getting to meet another McDonald and talking a little bit about his grandfather, Coach Dye, and the different things. It was a lot of fun.
Well, your listeners are really going to enjoy meeting Lewis and you in this community. And like I said, at Jacob Title or the Stanton Law Firm, we close business. We close some good commercial closings, residential closings. We appreciate being part of your show.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Brett Drinkard a little while ago, and we just have not had a chance to get to it on Facebook, asked us, when does the high school football season officially get underway? And I got to look at that again. What day does that officially start? We got week 0 games. Do we not have some on the 18th?
Those are jamborees.
Jamborees.
The games that count start on the 24th and 25th. Yep.
Okay. So we got a little bit of time. 2 weeks from today, you get jamborees. 3 weeks from today, you're going to get the first high school football games of the year. That means you're going to want to have the 97.7 ESPN, the app, downloaded, because we'll have 5 games. Could have 5 games on a Friday night for you. We got the North Alabama High School Football Scoreboard Show. We're going to be your home for high school football, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Make sure you have it all downloaded so you can stay with us throughout the time and everything else right there. Got to go over here. Here we go. Johnny Manziel is in the news. And this is interesting. August 8th, I believe it's August 8th. Yes, Netflix. Untold. It's called Untold, Johnny Football. It's going to be out on Netflix on August 8th. And obviously there have been clips. There have been people that have seen it already. And Johnny Manziel himself is talking about it. But Drew, he has gone in. He'll go into this thing and he'll tell you that back in 2016, after the Browns cut him, he wanted, and he did, attempt suicide. He said that after the 2015 season, he began using Oxycontin and cocaine daily. He dropped from 215 pounds down to 175 pounds. He twice refused rehab, then went on a $5 million bender before attempting to end his life. The thing that saved him was the fact that the gun misfired, or the gun clicked. Instead of firing, it clicked, and it misfired or mishapped or whatever they call it. And that is what prevented it from being a suicide. But this will all be told in Untold Johnny Football on August 8th on the Netflix series.
Crazy. It's almost like watching a train wreck, but you're fascinated to hear the story almost. But I mean, Johnny had a quick fall from grace, man. He was like a comet. But I mean, he was a unique talent in the college game. But I've said it before: if you're gonna play football for 20 years, and what I mean by that is, I'm talking about high school, college, play 10 years in the NFL. And if you're lucky enough, if you're Tom Brady, hell, you could play 30, but most of the time that doesn't happen. But if you're going to play football for 20-plus years, you got to take care of your body. You got to
take care of your mind.
You've got to grind, and you've got to study, and you've got to learn, and you've got to work. In the NFL, man, everybody's talented, but you have to go the extra mile to stay there. You got to be one of the first in the building and one of the last out of the building. You can't be worried about other things and video games and partying. And Johnny just loved. He was a great natural talent, but I don't think he ever worked at his craft very much, and that's why he didn't make it in the NFL, because guy was a talented football player, man, high school, college. But I think he lived off of his natural talent and his athletic ability. We know who his offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach was the first part of his career at Texas A&M, and he was an NFL head coach. but still, but I just think overall the problem with Johnny was he was his own worst enemy.
Let's go to the phone lines. Richard is with us this morning. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
One thing on this expansion, I saw where I guess UCLA and USC are getting full shares, but Rutgers and Nebraska didn't. You kind of wonder, if Washington and even if they go for Cal and Stanford, if they'll ever get a full share because they're projecting $100 million in several years.
Well, they're only offering Washington and Oregon partial shares, which would be, I think, around 30 to 40 million. They're not offering them full shares to the Big Ten, and so that's why some people think that might be a block for those two because of the travel cost and everything. Is it financially worth it for them to join? But they don't know.
I would think Stanford and Cal would even be less because they're not bringing anything to the table at all. So like I said, you would think they might even have less. But the only thing is it's a guarantee versus what the Pac-12 has now. It's guaranteed nothing.
Yeah, well, right now, come on, Richard, aren't you going to get Apple TV? Come on. And make them $20 million.
I tell you a funny story on the Pac-12 network.
Oh boy!
A basketball podcast. A guy, they said it was basically Matt Norland. Was telling the story, but a guy couldn't pick up the Pac-12 network on his TV, but he had one of these fancy refrigerators that actually had a TV on it, and he started playing on his refrigerator and actually got the Pac-12 network on his refrigerator.
Oh wow! On his refrigerator.
Yep.
Sounds like something Bill would do.
Who gets custody of Bill Walton?
I don't know.
So.
All right, Richard.
Okay, see you guys later.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's get a break in. Clint Lamb's going to talk Alabama football with us.
Certainly not Bill Walton.
Well, I want to know who gets custody of Bill. Oh, we
might get to ask him that. Well, you might get to. You never know.
Conference of Champions. Bye-bye. We got to get a break in. Clint Lamb will help us with Alabama football next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly cloudy to overcast sky this afternoon. Temperatures only climbing into the mid and upper 80s given the amount of cloud cover and the likelihood that we get some scattered showers and thunderstorms across the area. Temperatures drop into the low and mid 70s as we head into the overnight, early into your Saturday morning. We're going to get to enjoy some sunshine Saturday afternoon, but scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to once again be in the forecast. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid 90s, dropping into the mid 70s through the overnight. Much the same for your Sunday. We get to enjoy a little bit of sunshine. Temperatures climbing into the low and mid 90s with scattered showers and thunderstorms. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
They have upgraded that wreck on Old Monrovia at Wayne Road to an injury time. Picked up a no injury on Wall Triana at McCrary Road. Got one in Athens, 72 westbound west of I-65. They're pushing all the westbound traffic over to the right. It looks like that one may be an injury type. Shields and Jordan came in as a no injury. Parkway south of Redstone in the parking lot at Walmart also reported as an injury type. Snelling specializes in accounting, admin, and customer support positions. Need temporary employees for special projects or maybe someone to join your team? Snelling can help. Snelling, how the area's best companies hire talent. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
And paid for by Linear Marketing Group. Are you drowning in debt? Are you struggling to make minimum payments? Did you know that on average, a household with at least one credit card struggles with over $17,000 in credit card debt? If this sounds like you, know that it's not your fault. Credit card debt happens to good people. Credit card companies lure you in with low introductory rates and low minimum payments. Before you know it, you're in over your head. We've helped thousands of good people just like you become debt-free with our Debt Reset program that will dramatically reduce your debt down to a fraction of what you owe. Our Debt Reset program is customized to get you debt-free in as little as 24 to 48 months with one low monthly payment. If you owe over $10,000 in credit card debt or even personal loans, call 800-268-1993 now. There are no upfront fees or out-of-pocket expenses. You don't pay a dime until we succeed. Call now to see how the Debt Reset program can work for you. 800-268-1993. That's 800-268-1993. Again, 800-268-1993.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at Alumni Hall. Alumni Hall is the ultimate shopping experience for Alabama and Auburn fans. Located right here in Huntsville, come shop the best selection of officially licensed apparel, hats, Yeti, accessories, and gifts. Whether you're heading to the spring game or shopping graduation gifts or just love to show your school pride daily, come see us at Alumni Hall. University students, faculty, and military receive 10% off in store, and you can earn cash back with our Hall Pass rewards. Alumni Hall, located in Bridge Street Shopping Center, or shop anytime at alumnihall.com.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. Hour 1, hour 2. We've been kind of recapping a little bit of everybody's fall camp practices. We talked a little Auburn fall camp. Alabama kicked off fall camp yesterday. We've heard from Nick Saban throughout the show. And no, they have not named a starting quarterback this hour either. So there you have it.
They have not. The quarterback battle is ongoing, but there's some other very interesting position battles and interesting young players with a chance to make a leap. And we have a guest on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. It's one of the top young guys in the profession. He's risen up. He's been with On3 now for the 2 years of their existence. Before that, he was with Roll Tide Wire. Got a chance to get to know him in the past when he was coming up at SEC Media Days. He's an Athens High graduate, played football with William Ming, who, of course, played at the University of Alabama and has now become a football analyst for On3Sports.com and BamaOnline.com, who is now part of On3, and that is Clint Lamb. He's been kind enough to join us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Clint, welcome back to 97.7 The Zone. You're with Drew and Scott. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic today, guys. I mean, I got to be honest.
We got you? I think we had sound like we had a Bluetooth malfunction there. Been there. But
yeah, that's Clint. You got you, buddy?
Yeah, it clicked.
All right.
There
we go.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, we've been there. We've been there with the Bluetooth. What's up, man? What were you saying?
It's football season. I couldn't be more excited that it's finally here. The off-season went by relatively quick. We're still not officially there yet, but it's moving pretty good. I'm doing fantastic. I just appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, no doubt. And I wanted to just get some of your thoughts on fall camp. I mean, we're not going to delve into the quarterbacks because we know that's going to play itself out. It's really, in my opinion, a 3-horse race. It's going to be a 2-horse race soon enough. But there's other interesting underlying battles and some of the things you've written about and also done a great job on the YouTube channel and discussed with Jimmy Stein, I think are some of the things that I think are very pertinent that have kind of flown under the radar. And it's development of some guys that played some as freshmen and that are going to come into their own potentially as sophomores, and then transfers, that have come through the portal. But the guy that to me is the most fascinating, and I was still watching him in the brief video they send you from the University of Alabama with about the 4 minutes we saw yesterday. I was watching him in drills. I've seen him on the practice field. Hope to see him Saturday. is Kendrick Law, because I thought last year he really, the last third of the season, started earning the trust of the coaching staff. He did a lot of things without catching the ball, blocking, showing toughness, he was kind of on the same, I thought, trajectory as Ja'Cory Brooks. But the thing is, as I watch him, it's so interesting because you always look at the heights and weights that they give you at the University of Alabama on the roster, and they list him at 5'11", 205, and I'm telling you, he looks heavier than that to me, and that's a compliment, and bigger and taller than that when you're watching him on the field. I just think Law has a chance to really be one of maybe the top 3 guys in that wide receiver room, Clint.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think he can make the biggest impact of any of the receivers. And what I mean by that, it's not necessarily that he's going to lead the team in catches or yardage or touchdowns, even though I think he'll be in the conversation in a lot of those categories. It's more so, what you were talking about, the willingness to be a blocker in the run game and kind of spring other guys, and the fact that he brings a tone-setting physicality to the offense. Like, you want that from your running backs in your run game. You want your offensive line to be tough and physical. But your receivers, no one ever looked at, Jerry Jeudy or Henry Ruggs or some of those guys and said, wow, this guy, he'll deliver a huge hit and really get the entire offense and really the entire team in general juiced. Kendrick Law brings that ability. He's going to fight for the tough physical yards. After the catch, he's going to turn into more of a running back. The comparisons to Deebo Samuel, I'm not quite ready to go there yet because we haven't seen him handle volume yet. Really, whether it be high school or college, he's never been a guy who handled, a ton of touches, even though I think he's got the skill set to do it. We just haven't seen it yet, so I'm not willing to go that far just yet. But as far as the way that you can use him and the fact that Deebo kind of provides that wide receiver running back, tone-setting physicality for the 49ers offense, I think Kendrick Law could do something very similar for Alabama, and they have a lot of good players in that room. It is possible that Kendrick Law doesn't even end up being a starter, but we know there's going to be a heavy rotation. We know Law's going to be a part of that rotation, and I think that when we look back, at the end of the 2023 season, statistically speaking, it might not be the case, but people are going to say, wow, Alabama really needed a first down, on a third down or something, and Kendrick Law drug a couple of guys, was able to get it. He was able to get this key block and spring a touchdown from, whoever the receiver is. Those are the kind of things that we're going to be talking about, and a lot of people, I think, are going to be in agreement that he was the most impactful when you look at the entire, bird's eye view as far as what these guys bring to the table. He was the most impactful guy in the room.
But it all starts up front, though. They got to have that offensive line. They got to cut down on the penalties. They've got to be solid up front.
Absolutely, yeah. That's huge. When you talk about the competition that's going on at left tackle between Elijah Pritchett and Caden Proctor, Pritchett did have some issues, throughout the offseason and into spring as far as not only – I think it stems from the SEC speed, edge speed. I still think he's making an adjustment there, but it's causing him to have some penalties. He did get beat a couple of times on the A-Day game by several people, an edge rusher, Malachi Moore off the edge. There was multiple players who was able to beat him, and I think that's more of a technique problem. It's certainly not an athleticism or size strength problem. He's got all that stuff down. Just in his initial drop, as far as his first step in pass pro, I think it was a little bit too shallow when you compare it to J.C. Latham on the other side, who's been there and done that, for quite a while. So it's things that he can get cleaned up. But you've got Caden Proctor there who's doing some really good things. I still think he's going to have some freshman growing pains, but he was the number one tackle in the country for a reason. He's a big-body guy at 6'7", 354, can move guys in the run game, and is surprisingly agile for somebody that's that size. You got that battle going on. That's certainly important. But, we noticed yesterday that Terrence Ferguson was working some with the first-team offensive line, and Darian Dalcourt, who had worked at left guard with the first team throughout the spring, he was working, at least in the clips that we saw, with the second team. And that could have just been the clips they got from yesterday. They could be mixing and matching. I'm sure they are to some degree. But it's at least something worth monitoring because, Terrence Ferguson is certainly a guy who had a lot of talent coming out of high school. He's a former top 70 player. I think the number 3 interior offensive lineman. He's got a lot of natural ability and talent. Despite the fact that he was only like 6'4", 290 coming out of high school, very physical in the run game. I thought he was much more advanced as far as being a run blocker than pass protector, which, now that he's 318, that's an extra, close to 30 pounds on his frame. I think that bodes well for his ability to kind of fit in this new Alabama offense that we think they're going to be getting back to as far as being physical and downhill, as far as their rushing attack. But you've got that going on. You've got, in my opinion, the best right side of any offensive line in college football with Tyler Booker, who I think is going to be the best guard in the SEC, and J.C. Latham, who I think is going to be one of the best tackles. And then you've got a very veteran, experienced player in Seth McLaughlin there at center. So there's a lot of potential. They're still working some things out, still got some battles going on. But regardless who ends up starting, I mean, Nick Saban's talked about having, 6 or 7 guys that they trust as starters. I fully believe that. And so while there's still some things that need to be determined, I don't think it's an issue of they don't have any options. They're hoping an option steps up, kind of like at quarterback. I think it's more so, they've got a lot of options, and it's just a matter of determining who they're going to go with.
Well, and another, to piggyback off of what you're saying, to bring physicality and an edge to a position. Certainly, we're in agreement on Kendrick Law. I think he brings a John Mechie type edge to it. With what Mech has been through off the field and overcoming the NFL, and I think he's going to overcome it. In some ways, I wish they would have almost a toughness award now. Add one to the Alabama, list of spring practice awards after Mech, because I don't think he gets enough credit for the career he had at Alabama. But another guy that I think can make an impact. We didn't see a lot of him in the A-Day game because he was a little banged up, but I'm hearing really strong stuff coming out of the summer. Is C.J. Dupree.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and he's one of those guys that he brings a complete skill set to the position. Like, he's a good blocker. I wouldn't say he's an elite blocker, but he's a very effective blocker in the run game. He lined up a ton inline for Maryland, but I've always thought he had the ability to flex out more than they had him do. I think they had him inline close to 90% of the time. At Alabama, you're going to see him doing all kinds of things. You're going to see him playing that H role, kind of moving around a little bit. You're going to see him playing, being a big slot, maybe even playing some perimeter receiver. But he's got some receiving chops. He's a good receiver. He's a good blocker. And I think that when you look at Alabama's tight end room, I've kind of viewed the combination of Dupree and Danny Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis has made a lot of strides, yep.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And when you look at the versatility that having both those two guys in the field at the same time, you've got two quality blockers. You've got two guys who can win underneath and be quality pass catchers, can create some size mismatch problems for defenses. I don't think either one are huge yak guys. They're not going to create a lot of yardage after the catch. They're not dynamic players as receivers necessarily, but they're very reliable. And then Tommy Reese's offense, I mean, when you look at Michael Mayer, he wasn't a dynamic playmaker at the tight end position necessarily. He was a guy who could handle volume. He was a guy who was reliable, could get guys blocked, could move around quite a bit. And when you threw him the football, most of the time he was going to catch it. And I don't think Alabama has anybody of Michael Mayer's caliber, at least not that we know of right now. But I think they have a couple of guys who can fill similar roles. But I did think it was interesting that when Nick Saban was asked about the tight ends, he brought up C.J. Dupree and gave him a lot of praise, but he also brought up Amari DeBlock. He didn't say anything about Lewis. All the rest of the guys are doing well, and Robbie Hughes is in that conversation too, but he brought up Amari DeBlock by name and said he's, improving a lot. And what I find interesting about Amari DeBlock and C.J. Dupree, if that's the route they want to go, you've got two very complementary pieces. Now, like I said, Dupree is a good balanced guy. He does everything well, so it's not like you got blocking and receiving in two different guys. You've got a complete tight end, but then you've got that mismatch nightmare as your complementary, second tight end if that's the route they want to go. You can move him around, use him as a big slot quite a bit, use him as a red zone threat, do a lot of different things with him. And I think that you set your offense up for success that way because, Trayshawn Holden last year, he was kind of the size guy. Ja'Cory Brooks got a little bit of length and size, but they don't have that true mismatch problem on offense. And Amari DeBlock can bring that to the table. So I'll be very curious to see how they get him involved, what his role, exactly ends up being. Do they play him more in that traditional tight end role, or do they allow him to essentially be a big receiver who plays inline sometimes? We'll kind of have to wait and see. But it's certainly a good room that, Alabama's spent a lot of time trying to develop.
Coach Saban also talking about the depth and what he likes about the linebacker position yesterday.
Yeah, that's another interesting spot because, I will say, I found it interesting that once again he was asked about. There was two things he was asked about. He was asked about the inside linebackers, and the two guys that he brought up by name were Deontay Lawson and Jahad Campbell. Anybody that's paid attention to my work this offseason knows that I'm a huge fan of Justin Jefferson. Nick Saban was asked about the two JUCO guys, and he said they're both coming along. There's still some progress that needs to be made and some development as far as getting comfortable and what's being asked of them. But he also mentioned that Malik Benson is a little bit further along than Justin Jefferson because on offense, you know what you're doing. Defense is reaction-based. It's all dependent upon what the offense is doing. So it's always going to be more difficult for a defensive guy. But I think that once things click for Justin Jefferson, he's got the highest ceiling of any linebacker on this roster. And I'm a huge Jahad Campbell fan. I think what he could provide this Alabama defense, just from his experience as a high school edge rusher, the fact that he can be an off-ball blitzer if you're kind of struggling to generate interior pressure to complement your exterior guys, you can use a guy like Jahad Campbell like they did in the A-Day game where he had a sack, and you can kind of compensate for that a little bit. But he's getting more comfortable in his run fits, getting more comfortable dropping in coverage and playing out in space. And I think that's, he's got a tremendous ceiling. And Deontay Lawson, that's going to be probably your Mike. That's going to be your field general, the guy that's, very rarely coming off the field, if coming off the field at all. And I think he's a true sideline-to-sideline player and does a lot of things extremely well. So you've got those three guys. You've got Trezvon Marshall, who's steady. He's an experienced player. He's physical. And then you've got, guys like Sean Murphy and Kendrick Blackshire and guys like that. All of their, the depth at inside linebacker is really impressive. It's just a matter of determining who's going to step up between those three guys and get a start next to Deontay Lawson. And I think right now, all three are viable candidates.
No question. Well, great stuff. As we said, you can catch Clint Lamb. Don't forget, he's also now the director of video content for the On3 Roundtable, and he does that stuff on YouTube and Instagram. And I've watched a lot of that, a lot of great discussion. I mentioned his the stuff he does with Jimmy Stein. It's must see, great stuff. And also you can read his articles. He's a football analyst for BamaOnline.com. Clint, we really appreciate it. Let everybody know how to follow you on social media, and we always appreciate the time.
Absolutely, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on, and I think you did a pretty good job there. A lot of the discussion that I do nowadays, you can find me on Twitter at Clint R. Land.
Right.
But I'm also over on the Roundtable on BOL, responding to a lot of questions and comments there. Video content on 3 Roundtable YouTube channel. And then, BamaOnline.com. We got a great deal going on right now, $1. Kind of a fall camp kickoff special for everybody, so definitely go subscribe. And once again, I appreciate you guys having me on. This has been fun.
Thank you, Clint.
Thanks,
we appreciate
Clint. All right, let's get that final break in. When we come back, tomorrow's headlines today, and there's news out of the Pac-12.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a vehicle that's hit a deer on Wall Triana at Quail Road. The driver's complaining of injury. That's right across from the Montessori school. Got Wall Triana and McCrary. That's reported as a no injury. Old Monrovia and Wayne got updated to an injury type. And we've got one in Athens, 72 westbound west of I-65. They're moving all the traffic to the right there. That one looked like an injury type. No hose, no mask. You could ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
With us today, Dr. Tracy Lowry of Best Vein Care of Huntsville.
When we evaluate a patient and they indeed have significant venous disease, most third-party payers, private insurance, Medicare, require us to treat every patient conservatively at least 90 days. Conservative treatment includes increasing ambulation, elevation of the legs, and the wearing of compression stockings. It's very common for folks to come see us in March or April wanting to have their veins fixed before they go into swimsuits starting in June. When we see someone in March or April, they're going to require at least 90 days of conservative treatment before we can even go to the insurance carrier to get permission to treat their veins. So if you think you have a venous problem, now is the time to come in and get a free screening so we can determine whether or not you need something evaluated. If you have a vein problem or you think you may have a vein problem, now's the time to contact us at bestveincarehuntsville.com.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time, or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
These days, saving time is important, and saving money is even more so. That's where Eagle Masonry and Insulation comes in. Over the years, Eagle has expanded their services to meet the needs of folks like you in our area. If you're ready to lower your utility bills, Eagle can insulate your home and help you save money with fiberglass, spray foam, and cellulose insulation, and can help you decide what's best for your project. Call Eagle Masonry and Insulation today at 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time, and Eagle saves you money.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Really only one headline here. The momentum to get Oregon and Washington into the Big Ten appears to have lost momentum overnight, according to Nicole Auerbach of The Athletic. The Pac-12 will have a meeting this morning. There's renewed optimism around it, according to Nicole Auerbach.
Well, here we go. What's the quick comment, Brandon? What's up?
Hey, from now on, when we talk about Mike Price, can we play girls in the background?
Molly Crew, there you go. What a way to end the week.
Baby, it's rolling.
I try not to remember.
Oh. Sapphire remembers.
Whatever. Her name was Destiny. It wasn't Sapphire. How am I going to forget?
You do remember.
Of course I do. It was horrific. It was awful. It was in Sports Illustrated.
Oh, it was in a lot of other places,
Pappy
too.
was drunk.
Hustler, everywhere else. You name it, it was there.
You were probably at the press conference when he got canned.
I was there. I was there when he was hired, when he was canned. When we had the spring game. Everything.
Those conversations. Have a great weekend, everybody.
But he was from Pullman.
Oh, Lord.
Near
Montana.
I can find it on a map.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's